Dearest agent of the universe, I am surprised at how limitless happiness can be. Not just my own, but the happiness you continue to add to my life. It is a strange feeling to hang up the phone hours later and not feel insecurity, doubt, or any other subtracting emotion. Hence reminding me how far I have come in breaking the habits and addictions of living and riding unhealthy emotions and feelings by giving them way too much attention. It is not that those emotions no longer exist in me, it is that I consciously choose not to give them my energy. Because here's what we know so far. We are governed by the laws of the universe, which states that we are vibrating energy, and within each of us exists the constant swing of our emotions, whether we like it or not. Those emotions are an inherent part of us and are influenced and governed by the degree in which our energy vibrates, as well as the movements of the moon and its fellow planets, all of which exert and influence the energetic field that surrounds the Earth. And because, as energetic beings, our energy is directly influenced by the Earth, and therefore, in turn, by all that influences the Earth. In the language of science, our vibration influences the health of our glands and organs. So if we are vibrating at a low level, our glands that release hormones that keep us in balance stop functioning properly, and we become devoid of the proper amount of substances like melatonin, serotonin, dopamine, that influence and balance our emotions. Because anything stagnant or moving very slowly, a cause, will create a similar effect. We also know that the degree at which we vibrate not only influences our health and our emotional and mental state, but also determines our ability to connect to the information that sits in the universe. That the information we give out about ourselves through our energy waves into the universe, of which we are a part, directly influences the path our lives will take. Mind-boggling, I know, just like this relationship with you. So how does yoga start to shift our vibration and change our lives is really the magic question. It is hard to even know where to start, but I shall try my best to wade through the wealth of knowledge in my brain and tell you the story in a coherent way. But first I want to tell you something. In the last month, I've worked extremely hard not to daydream about you, to not engage in the fantasy world where we write a story packed with expectations that has no basis in reality. I have observed my interactions with you to ensure that I've really unpacked all that baggage we carry around in us. Baggage packed with other people's thoughts, ideas, influences. Items we pack that do not even belong to us, but to others who have given it to us, thinking they are gifting us when in fact they are burdening us. Our own items, junk, really most of it, that we hang on to for no other reason other than we have formed a habit of sitting in our past, a known and familiar place to us, or worrying about the future from a place of our past fears, instead of sitting in our present, open to a future with an unburdened mind. The only useful role of bringing our attention to the past is for us to understand our present selves. And no matter where I go, I come back to this. I asked the universe for you years ago. Since then, I have had to wade through a tsunami of men, wild animals, and an ocean of yoga to get to you. Lessons had to be learned, knowledge gained, energy shifted, and a reconnection to my soul established. We met when we did because we were literally on the same wavelength. I now fully understand that statement, and this unknown, unique predicament we find ourselves in, getting to know each other from the basis of a 20-minute superficial interaction, is the universe's version of a lie detector. To test if we really do have faith in the universe or God as you see it, in our souls, in this connection, and what sits in our hearts, or will our conditioned mind, guided by fear, judgment, norms, boundaries, cause us to walk away from this? I can see you smiling here. You see, I really do listen to you. Because this connection is not about filling something in me, not at all. As in my magnificent life, I am the provider of all in it and need nothing from you that the universe, which exists within me, cannot provide for me. I know this connection is going to challenge me and will trigger some of the most painful karmic soul lessons I need to learn in my life in order to aid the accession of my soul. And the thing that will guide me through this amazing maze we find ourselves in is yoga, which is why I'm sharing yoga with you, so you fully understand my influencers and who it is that is walking through this uncharted space with you. One of the roots of the beautiful tree of yoga is truly understanding what perspective means. It is just not about seeing things in different ways, but acknowledging how deeply we misunderstand the world. Let us use a tire as an example. You probably see it as an item to put on a car in order for the car to move. Some kid in Zambia who has never seen a car will see it as a toy in which he can put his brother and roll him down a hill until his mother shouts at him to stop trying to kill his brother. A hyena sees a tire as food to eat, and I know this as one tried to eat mine. In fact, a car tire is just vibrating molecules that have formed into a shape, meaning it is not a tire in itself. If it was, then no matter who saw it, they would know what it was even if they had never seen a car, because it is a tire in itself and presents itself as such. But that is not how the world works. Everything is vibrating molecules arranged in a certain way and shape, and how it presents itself is dependent on who is looking at it and with what pair of glasses. Glasses tinted by culture, tradition, education, parents, friends, etc. Exchange glasses and you will try and eat the tire. The kids will begin to look for a tire to put it on, and the hyena will just be plain old dumbfounded. So by changing perspective, by changing the glasses through which you view your world, you can change your reality. Think of how often you switch your attitude towards a place, a person, a food. They all remain the same, but the shift comes from you looking at it differently. It's how we move so quickly from love to hate, from elevated to low vibrational emotions, and vice versa. Reality, therefore, is defined by the perspective and the interpretation of the person viewing it. Think of the news. You could watch 10 different channels of the same event, and each would present a different reality. Which one is the truth? Which one is reality? None of them, and all of them. What defines our perspective is our thoughts, and our thoughts about our thoughts. In our body, we have energy channels, which in Western science we call neurons, in Chinese medicine, meridians, and in yoga, nadis. Our energy channels are filled with energy. Think of this as subtle physical entities, upon which ride our thoughts. So where the physical meets the mental. Think of energy as eagles flying through these channels and thoughts as the riders on these eagles, each deeply connected to the other. If the eagle, energy, falls sick, it will affect the rider and vice versa. If the rider is not present and mentally keeps wandering, the eagle could most likely fly into a tree and hurt itself, as its breath becomes shallow because the rider is not present to guide him, and its sense of direction is derailed. Which is why in the physical practice of yoga, we always ask you to bring your thoughts back to your breath, so as not to create harm in your body. A thought in itself can do us no harm. But we humans, we like attachments. So we are always attaching some emotion or feeling to our thoughts, and most of them are negative. When we have a negative thought, fueled of course by someone or something we have watched or listened to consciously or subconsciously, that thought does the following to us. It blocks our energy channels as all the negative emotions vibrate slowly and are therefore heavy and dense. Basically, it's like riding our eagles drunk. So your eagle, the energy, staggers and slows down, hitting into other eagles, eventually causing a pileup of eagles and thus creating a blockage in us. When you are sad, depressed, note how you feel heavy, lethargic, and devoid of energy, because our energy channels that fuel us are choked and blocked. In Western science language, when your senses are steeped in negativity, the words you use, the things you listen to, the items you ingest, here's what happens. A signal moves up our nerves to our hypothalamus, to our pituitary glands, which is our master hormone controller, and then to our adrenal glands to release cortisol, among other chemicals in our body, which you now know from the last letter is no picnic in the park for your body. as it also leads to depression and anxiety, as excess cortisol alters the functioning of our glands that produce hormones. Do you know that when we engage in a negative emotions, as emotions are merely chemical combinations, we dump nearly 12,000 harmful chemicals called peptides into our body within a time frame of 90 seconds to 2 minutes. These chemicals block our cells from absorbing nutrients. If this is a fleeting emotion, then the harm is negligible and the cells become unblocked. However, if we stay in this state, the damage is long-term, as the cells die and we create more receptor sites for chemicals related to negative emotions, rather than for absorbing nutrients. This, of course, is a very simplified version. In addition to all of the above, our heart rate increases, so we continue to breathe with only the top part of our lungs, which we tend to do these days as we are too lazy to engage our lung muscles, and because we spend all our time bent over a screen, thereby restricting our diaphragm from expanding and allowing for the full use of our lungs. When we do this, we are constantly recycling bad air through our body, as we never fully exhale all the carbon dioxide or fully inhale all the oxygen. So all our cells are basically getting sewage air. Therefore, adding any low-frequency emotions and feelings to thoughts is more harmful than I'm sure you imagined it would be. Conversely, elevated emotions release, volume-wise, over 40,000 regenerative and healing biochemicals in our body, boosting our immune system, increasing anti-aging properties, and so forth. So how do we begin to influence and control the roulette of emotions that plague us, that we keep attaching to our thoughts? Well, we can start with our own worst enemy, the limbic brain. Our emotional brain, the one that developed on top of our mammalian brain, and which includes our amygdala and hippocampus, that sits below our frontal cortex, the newest part of our brain, unique to humans, as far as we know. All very sexy words, I must say, which in yoga, we actually refer to them by their not-so-sexy counterparts, seeds and gardening. Our hippocampus takes everything we see, hear, experience during the day, consciously and subconsciously, and logs it. When we go to sleep, it all downloads into our hard drive. So unless you are an incredibly aware superhuman, it is impossible to filter out all the information you subject yourself to every day. Therefore, everything, and I mean everything you expose your senses to during the day, is downloaded into your brain. Well, unless we struggle to sleep or don't sleep enough, then loads of things are lost in space, good and bad. Here's how our limbic center works. Let's say we are in a relationship and I send you messages all day, and you don't respond to them. And then I see your Facebook page that you went out with a female friend to dinner. If I am exhausted and angry at the world, or at some point in my life I have done the same thing, but when I did it, I was having an affair, or I just watched a movie where a guy did that to a girl, or I have listened to way too many songs or friends about cheating or something similar has happened to me before, you get the drift. Then my amygdala, where our traumas sit, will bring up memories of cheating, which, by the way, my amygdala has no way of differentiating between fact, fiction, and fantasy. This is where crazy kicks in. When I see the Facebook post, a signal is sent to my amygdala, which brings up cheating, and my response is therefore to believe that is what you are doing. And because I am sitting in my sympathetic system of fight and flight, because I'm tired, busy, living a life like an Energizer rabbit, I create this whole story in my head, and I react by closing myself off to you, blocking you, withdrawing my love, and worst of all, sending you a series of toxic texts. Besides poisoning our relationship, these reactions reinforce the crazy in me. They reinforce the way I see the world, men, relationships, and keep me in a harmful reactive system. At the same time all this is happening, a signal is also sent to our frontal cortex, which is our thinking analytical brain. Now, if I am calm, a slow-breathing individual who takes a step back and chooses to think over reaction, A person who chooses to live a life by the guidelines of yoga and therefore planting good seeds, which are thoughts, that eventually grow into positive trees and memories in my brain, so I see people in the world in a good light, I will take another route. I will not assume anything at all. I will understand that you have a life that is also filled with mountains and valleys. I will listen to my intuition, which, as I have unpacked all my past mental luggage, I am now in touch with, which will tell me that you have a challenging job that does not allow you to respond to me immediately. And I know this because you have told me so. I will engage in thoughtfulness and acknowledge that you have friends, and like me, you are entitled to a life which I want to be filled with laughter and joy, because I have trust. I have trust because I behave from a place of trust and kindness towards other people, thus planting the seed of trust in my head. If I still have any doubt, then I will speak to you. I will ask you. But first, I will take a step back and see where my doubts are coming from. Because most likely that doubt is not coming from you, it is coming from me, and it has a history. But for so many people, it is so much work to look it is too much work to look within ourselves as the source of our jealousy, anger, etc. It is much easier, lazier, and very incorrect to blame the other person. Conversely, in life, when someone does break our trust, we automatically attribute that behavior to ourselves, therefore planting a seed in us that we are unworthy, which if we keep repeating these thoughts will grow into a tree of insecurity in our mind, thinking it was something we did wrong, when really it has nothing to do with us at all, and everything to do with the other person and their baggage. Phew, just writing that hurt my head. It felt as if for a moment I were embroiled in a telenovela soap opera. You see how easy it is to live a life of misunderstanding, heightened by our utter and complete fear to communicate with ourselves from a place of honesty? I hope you are beginning to see how thoughts and the feelings and emotions we attach to them, which are defined by everything we are taught, watch, listen to, influences our perception of what is reality. Because remember, reality is merely perspective of all the vibrating energy out there. Put it another way, our world is a blank movie screen of energy, and how we see the world is determined on the movie we make up in our minds and then project onto the screen. So simple if you think about it, and yet so hard to change that movie, because of all of the unhealthy things we download into our mental hard drive every single day. Love, the Enchanted Yogi.